I'm Dr. John Gartner.
And I'm Dr. Harry Segal.
And welcome to this preview of Shrinking Trump.
We are so pleased today to have on our show George Conway, who has launched a new PAC called the Anti-Psychopath PAC to raise awareness about Trump's mental disorders so severe that John and I launched this show 3 months ago to raise awareness among the public, the media, and the Democratic elites.
George is doing something really extraordinary and unusual. One of the things that's frustrating about doing a show like this is that everyone we talk to basically agrees with us. And yet there is 5 to 10% of the electorate out there who will determine this election, who need to be reached with this message about Trump's dangerous mental illness and his psychological unfitness. George Conway has come up with a brilliant way to accomplish that mission. He started a political action committee, the Anti-Psychopath Political Action Committee, or Anti-Psychopath for short, that will try to leap over the head of the mainstream media, who thus far have refused to report the story of Trump's dangerous mental illness, and reach the voters in swing states directly through billboards on the highway, because everybody drives, and advertisements on TV because everybody watches TV. So these are people who aren't in the Twitter bubble. They're not in the Parler bubble. These are just general people in the population who he's going to reach with this message. So we're very excited on our show to be able to talk to him. And frankly, we're very excited to promote his PAC. And we actually hope people will contribute because we want this message to get to the people before it's too late.
Exactly.
The people who first called Trump, in other words, saw him for what he was, the threat that he was, were basically two groups. One were the historical minded, like historians and foreign policy experts, military types, people who study and understand and rely on history. Yeah. That's one group. And the other group were you guys. We're the mental health professionals, the psychologists and psychiatrists who basically had a peg on this guy from the very beginning. And I was talking about it with Ruth Ben-Ghiat, who's a very prominent scholar of authoritarianism. And she says, that's exactly right, because we see the same traits, really looking at it from different directions. The historians look at from what effects do those traits cause, and who are the individuals who cause a lot of human misery. And you guys look at it from, okay, this is a personality type, this is a personality defect, and you look at it from a clinical standpoint. But basically, when you understand both, you understand Trump. If you understand his mindset, you understand Trump. You understand his personality disorders, you understand Trump. And then if you understand history, you understand that those same personality traits are principal cause of human misery.
You're prosecuting the psychological case like a prosecutor. If anyone's been following George, he's running around the country with two giant props. Yeah. One is the diagnostic. Where are your props, George? I thought you were going to bring them on the show. One is the diagnostic.
I can bring them. I can go get them.
I'll describe them. One is One is a big blow up of the diagnostic criteria for narcissistic personality, and the other is a big blow up of the diagnostic criteria from the DSM-5 for antisocial personality disorder. And he holds up these big signs and he goes through the criteria one by one, like he's prosecuting the case. Boom! Show the pointer number one.
It's so easy. The guy's
it's so easy.
It's so easy. It's like, antisocial. It's like, it's really impressive that it only takes 3 of those diagnostic criteria, and he's like shoots the lights out. He's like run the table. I just it's but once you see that, and you don't have to be the big criticism always is going to be, you're not a doctor, blah blah blah, cold water rule, blah blah blah, can't diagnose from afar. It's like no, this is the guy we know more about than any freaking human being on the planet. And it ain't hard. It's not a close case. It's like, okay, this is the analogy I used in the Atlantic article that I wrote 5 years ago, the 11,000 words, where I first basically laid out my theory about Trump. It's you don't need to diagnose him.
Right. Right.
All you need to do is look at that list and say, wow, that really dovetails with who I know Donald Trump to be. And then say, are these the lists of qualities you want to see in anybody with any power over your life?
Right.
It ain't hard.
Right.
So you don't really have to. So if they want to say, oh, you're not a doctor, it's like, okay, fine. Let's put it this way.
Right. Do you want someone who has these traits? But also the other thing I think you're doing,
near your dog. I mean, do you want them in the state county? I mean,
And also I think the other thing you're doing is helping to demystify
how about
this
the second largest arsenal of nuclear weapons? Is this the guy who's you want his little finger on that button? I mean, come on.
Right. Just having those descriptive traits. One of the people in the book, actually, his whole argument was we don't need to use any diagnosis to show all the clinical predictors of his being dangerous. But I think what you've done, George, is also demystify diagnosis, because with your props, okay, what you're saying is, hey, we don't need to examine this guy. You don't even need to be a doctor. If you can read English, if you can read the English language and you have eyes and ears, then you can answer these questions. Is Donald Trump a liar? Yes, the most documented liar in history. Does he violate the rights of others? Yes, he's been an adjudicated rapist. Does he violated laws and norms? Yes, he's been convicted of 34 felonies and indicted for 90 whatever. So in other words, you don't have to be a doctor. You don't even have to be a college graduate, right, to be able to read those words. That's why it's like you're presenting it to the like, ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
The other thing you need to know, though, there's that additional piece. It's the historian piece. Is that what you need to know is that cult leaders and dictators share these characteristics. We've done really, really well raising money, even though during the 4-day period that we've been up, the Democrats have basically siphoned off like hundreds of millions of dollars, which is good for them. That's great. I mean, go brat. So we've done well, and we had some great initial seed contributions, and basically we have a lot of money now. I don't want to say too much because I want people to keep giving, because we want to keep throwing stuff at this guy. But we made our first ad expenditure, $100,000. And it kind of got into the news yesterday. People said, why is George Conway buying ad time in New Jersey and Florida? Well, because that's, we get the most bang. We're going to get the most bang at our buck in showing these ads to him. Everybody else is going to see it online. He's going to be going into his golf club, or he's going to be going into his bedroom, and, we're going to have it on Fox News, the Golf Channel,
great.
ESPN, house, at, whether he's in, and we're just going to show him this stuff, and he's not going to like it. And, this guy can be caused to babble for days about being a stable genius if you talk about him not being a stable genius.
Exactly.
This is the thing that strikes at his core, because it strikes at the self that he knows is there, but he has been, is self-conscious about, that he suppresses and that he's trying to conceal. I mean, this is what narcissists do. I mean, a narcissist, it knows has deep insecurities, and then projects outward this infallibility and invincibility. At least the grandiose narcissist, because I know too much now. And you could do that, and that's what he does. And when you needle him and you go under the core and you strike at him, in terms of the things he knows he's not smart. He knows he's not stable. That's why, who says that they're a stable genius?
Stable genius.
Who says that?
Someone who isn't.
The smartest freaking people in the world I've ever met. And I've been to a bunch of different places where they're just a lot of smart people. You never hear them say, God, I'm a genius. Oh, I'm such a genius. They may be amused with themselves, say, oh, that was a great idea.
Or if they admit it, they'll tell you they know they're an unstable genius.
Yeah, who says that? I mean, who says that? I mean, my theory about this is testing my theory. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it won't work. Maybe, but I think it will. It's basically, it's like, okay, you tell him he's nuts. He gets mad that somebody's saying he's nuts. And then he does something nuts. And then you say, look, he's a nut. And then you do it again and again and again. And we're going to try to build a cycle on that. And we're starting that Thursday, and we'll see how it goes by the time this thing is run. I mean, you know, we'll see if we
So
can
the
make it.
anti-psychopath is meant to make the psycho become more psycho. It's
Correct.
really it's anti-therapeutic. We're actually trying to make
No,
them sicker.
that's look, here are these. I mean, I think they're essentially four. Okay, maybe let's see if I get this right. But basically, four ideas here. One is to explain these disorders and how they affect Trump. Two is to demonstrate to the public why they're dangerous and why it matters. Three is to get the press off its ass to actually talk about this. And four is to illustrate the point by provoking him. Those are the four.
Got it.
Those are my four objects of this enterprise.
And
I'll settle for any combination of them. But if we get all four, it'll be interesting.
Well, when John says that is anti-therapy because you're provoking Trump, but it's therapy for everybody else.
Yes, absolutely right. No, we are the perfect cure for years of gaslighting, and that's like, you know, that it's refreshing. It's refreshing for the people who get it. So, you know, at a minimum, people will enjoy this process.
Wow, Harry, that was fantastic.
Oh, there's so much more, by the way, for you to hear. It's an extended interview. So be sure to catch our show. It drops every Friday afternoon. And we'd love you to tell your friends, but definitely come by and watch the whole thing.